I've been looking for years, for obviously last 5 years, and went a few as you know, and then found this one. I messaged Ryan, are these a waste of time? And he said, no, not necessarily. Welcome everyone, Samuel Main here, and I am just going to talk you through the campervan conversion as it happens. So the first thing that you can see is me taking down this yellow handle, I suppose. The bolts were very, very well rusted into the floor of this ambulance. So this ambulance is a Vauxhall Movano. It's got a lot of miles on the clock. It's got, I think, around 230,000 miles. So it's an old, it's well used Vauxhall Movano that was a private ambulance that would be used to take to festivals and events and hired out for private use. Now, one of the key things that you can see as you see this kind of fast forwarded clip, we've got these seats that are on the right and the left hand side. The problem is nearly all the bolts and everything we needed to get to was extremely difficult, and it was all rusted over, which just made getting these seats out so difficult. Here we've got myself and Ryan, my friend, one of his boys, who they were just super intrigued by what we were doing with this campervan. And as you can see, the time of purchasing the campervan, it had everything in it. I say campervan, ambulance. So we've got these seats that fold down on the left. We've just managed to get that one down and out. What you can see in the bottom left of the campervan is the grey piece of steel that ultimately we cannot get out. So that is going to be staying in the converted campervan even once we have finished. It's just so rusted and bolted into the floor, we just can't get it out. So it's going to be staying there. We managed to get the seat out on the right hand side, and we were all able to actually take those seats to a scrapyard and be able to get rid of those, which worked out really well. Here, these two seats at the back, Ryan was just grinding out some of the bolts so we could hopefully remove those. That was me taking down the ambulance sign, and you can start to see some of the damage actually on the roof, which isn't ideal. You can start to see that it's all starting to slowly take place. The advantage with this ambulance or campervan is it has two rooftop windows, which is just super handy. Here, this is where an oxygen tank would sit, and it had a metal framing to hold that oxygen tank. Again, here we actually had to drill out the bolts, which wasn't ideal. What you can see now, Ryan with his safety gear on, and obviously got his shoes on and his safety goggles, is us ultimately trying to find out how we're going to get these bases out. This one that you can see now, Ryan is using a sledgehammer that we were able to hit and be able to get out, but it was so difficult. This was multiple hours of work to be able to get these captain chairs out. Those bases had been in there for obviously multiple years. I'm sorry that you're just getting a view of my bum. Yeah, that's happening. But yeah, this was hard work. You can see Ryan is just constantly hitting that with a sledgehammer, and he's eventually able to get that one out. The one on the right is just stuck in there, so that wasn't ideal. Here you can see the two rooftop windows and the fan that we have. And then I was very fortunate. We were able to actually give away the set of chairs at the very back. And this two kind couple came and collected those chairs, but they also assisted in helping getting this captain's chair out. I wish I knew this couple's name. I've actually got it in one of my messages, so I need to double check. But they were incredible, lovely couple, and they're doing their own campervan conversion. But yeah, getting this captain's chair base out was honestly so difficult. But what worked well was I was able to give these guys a set of chairs that they were able to use. So once we'd kind of emptied out the van, we were then able to start trying to take out these kind of plastic sheets that are on the side and the ceiling of the van. When we done this, we started to notice some leaks in the van, as you can kind of see in this video there. You can see a few drops. So that was the first concerns, starting in finding some holes in the roof that needed to be fixed. But we had to get these bolts out. We had to drain some of this water, as you can see. And this started to set the scene for some changes that we knew we were going to have to make. So all insulation that was already in a van was going to have to be replaced, whereas potentially wet. These panels all had to come off, and we had to make some big changes. So here you can see myself and my brother-in-law just starting to continue stripping the van out. We took those 2 overhead compartments down and out of the van, and then also taking these panels down and ultimately just assessing the damage that is there. On these panels, they had clips that were just an absolute nightmare to get out, so we ended up pretty much destroying them every single time. So we have to have a different strategy for putting those panels back on if we choose to do so. Here I'm just starting to unravel the floor to see what some of the damage is like there. And I can promise you it's not great. There is multiple just holes through the bottom of the van. One of the options we're going to explore is just completely replacing the floor, but I'll show you later on what we decide to do. So here, as you can see, just us taking down these panels, it was a bit of a nightmare. It was tricky work. We had to knock out a lot of clips, and yeah, it was just a challenging thing to do. It's not the best view, but what I'm doing right there is just taking out a light that was in that corner. Unfortunately, water had gotten into the light, so it was going to be unusable for moving forward, which is a shame, because I was hoping to be able to use those lights, but not going to be an option. And something I think that's quite important here is, for me, you can see I'm getting a lot of help, right? I'm getting a lot of help from my brother-in-law and from friends. And the reason for that is I am not a skilled craftsman, tradesman. I need some coaching, I need some help. So part of me buying this camper van was to learn and to get a better insight into some of these more manual tasks, and be able to just further my own skill set here. So it was always really helpful having these guys helping me out and enabling me to be able to start making this camper van into something special. So here, as you can see, we're starting to get the hammer out and bash these down, but we were able to get all of those panels out and done, which gave us the full view then of the insulation. You can see there it's not in a great way. Oh, this clip here is just us emptying out the van. So I do not have a workshop, unfortunately. So we are quite literally building this camper van out the front of my property, and let me tell you, it's not easy. Every time I want to work on the van, I have to get everything out and then put everything back in, which you can see here. And trust me, this is not a fun process. It takes 20 minutes or so just to be able to do this. So yeah, I can definitely see why people have workshops and why they don't do conversions without them. Here I started to take down and replace all of the insulation. This is definitely insightful. You can start to see actually how bad some of the rust on the side of the van is, which was actually unexpected. We didn't see it because of the vinyl stickers that are on the outside of the van. So again, a few nice surprises for me here is realizing this. Getting this roof panel off was quite fun with my brother-in-law Owen. We resting the thing on our head, which was yeah, quite comical, but you do what you gotta do. And there was just so many more screws and bolts keeping it up than we realized. So yeah, it definitely took us a lot longer than expected and wasn't an easy process. I wouldn't have been able to do this by myself, or if I was, it would have been messy, that's for sure. But one of the advantages here is you can see one of the key things for me when I was buying a van was to be able to stand up. I've done a lot of campervan trips and been in campervans where you cannot stand. And although some people are happy with that, for me personally, I knew I was going to be spending quite a lot of time in this van, and I wanted to be able to stand up, which was key. So here you can see lots of tidying up, getting that insulation down, working on the door. There's a few problems with that door, unfortunately, but I'll come to that another day. But you can start to see the van taking shape. Here we had a surprise McDonald's. Not always my favorite, but it was gladly appreciated once we'd been working on the van for multiple hours, and my amazing family, love them to death. Here we are back with Ryan, and now we have my friend Tom coming to assist as well. We've got all the insulation out. Ryan is focusing on the electrics and starting to get a better understanding of what we're going to need to do for the electrics. One of the things that I want to be able to do is to be able to work remotely, that is, from my van. So I'm going to be looking at a pretty full-on electrical system, and Ryan's a bit of a wizard when it comes to this stuff. So we're just mapping out those electrics here. He's teaching me like he would teach his young sons. But seriously, Ryan's helped me massively in this and really helped me learn. What you can start to see is I am sanding down the panels on the roof, trying to remove as much rust as we can. And yeah, that needed a lot of work. But then we also sprayed all of the areas that we sanded down with some rust protection, just trying to minimize the damage of some of the water that came through. And I don't have much exposure to any of the power tools, so this was a new thing for me, which was a good challenge, which was super cool. We set Tom the challenge of filling in some of the holes on the roof and stopping any of the damage and the leaks. Then what you can see here is one of the metal bars that is stuck into the van. This is us trying to get that out. You can see Ryan underneath the van, and then me and Tom up top trying to get rid of those bolts. You can see we're having some troubles with the wind and things falling over and constant battles, but good learning curve, good fun. And very grateful for these guys coming to help me out. So this one that we're working on, we were successful and able to get that one out. The one on the left is going to be in there forever. It's going to be in there forever. We were unable to get that one out. As you can see, the chairs at the very back have been removed. Those have all been sorted, which is good. And here, just we are spray painting that rust protection onto the top. This paint gets everywhere. I think I had all of the paint in my hair, all down my arms, and yeah, that was fun trying to get that out. But you can start to see the work paying off as the van is being stripped down to its bare basics, and you know, we're just preparing it before we put the floor in and the side panels and go from there. And me using my phone, trying to get as much clips and content for you guys as possible. So we move on to another day. This is myself and Owen ripping up the flooring. There is so much glue on this vinyl. It's absolutely insane. So this is us working hard to remove all of that vinyl. We made the decision that we were going to keep that wood and that base on the floor, and we were just going to add on top of it. One of the challenges that we've got is on that shot that you've just seen, you've got where those captain's chairs used to be. They're very elevated. They are bolted and rusted into the floor, so those are staying there. Here you can see on the side of the road, us cutting some of these plyboards and storing things on the side of the road, which wasn't ideal. But we're starting to put some plyboard. So what we've done is we've decided to go with 2 layers of ply and cut out some holes and some areas to go around the things that we cannot bring out of the floor. You can see we've chipped away at the corner there so that this sheet of ply would fit in. I think we used 5.5mm ply. We have a handsaw because I've got no tools, extremely limited, so we had to go and buy this saw just before we started. It wasn't even the right saw for what we needed, but hey, it done the job. And here we are just starting to really kind of work on this layer, chopping all these bits of ply up. And what you'll see here is that, again, we go around these those metal bases that you can see, and that's so that we can try and make this as level as possible. Very fortunate that those ply fit into that gap by the wheel arches, but it worked out pretty well. Well, there's the overview so far, guys. I hope that you have enjoyed this narration and also all of the clips so far. I massively appreciate you following along on this campervan journey. I cannot wait to show you the finished product. It's all in process. But if you could, please do hit like and subscribe. I'd massively appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next video.